Alright, so we're going to take a look at solving inequalities now that have variables on both sides of the inequality. Now, much like when we were solving equations, one of the first things we want to do is get all of our variable terms to one side. So in this case, it would probably make more sense to go ahead and move our 7x, because 4x is already on a side by itself. So I'm going to subtract 7x from both sides of the inequality. 4x minus 7x is going to give us negative 3x. It's greater than or equal to positive 6. I'm going to divide both sides by negative 3. So x is going to be compared to negative 2, but because I divided by that negative, I'm going to go ahead and change my sign around. So now x is less than or equal to negative 2. Close circle. X is less than, so it should go to the left. So now why don't you pause the video and use what you know about solving inequalities and solving equations and see if you can do this one. Now depending on how you approached it, I would probably choose to move the negative 2t first. So I'm going to add 2t to both sides. Now I have 7t plus 1 is less than negative 6. I'm going to go ahead and subtract 1 from both sides. So now 7t is less than negative 7. Divide both sides by 7. So t is going to be less than negative 1. I don't flip the sign because I divided by a positive. So we open circle at negative 1. And our arrow is going to go to the left. So now let's look at a little bit more complicated inequality. First thing, there are a couple different ways you could approach this. I would go ahead and distribute on this one first, just because we've got variable terms on both sides, and then go ahead and combine our like terms on the right side. So here we have 2k minus 6 is going to be greater than 3 plus 3k. So what I did is I combined those like terms. Now I'm going to go ahead and subtract 2k from both sides. I'm going to have negative 6 is greater than 3 plus k. Go ahead and subtract 3 from both sides. And now I have negative 9 is greater than k. So it's going to be an open circle at negative 9, and our arrow is going to go to the left. Alright, so now let's look at a real life situation where we might be able to use inequalities. The home cleaning company charges $3.12 to wash siding of the house, plus $12 for each window. The power clean charges $36 per window, and that price includes washing the siding. How many windows must a house have to clean to make the total cost in the home cleaning company less expensive than power cleaning? So essentially we're looking at, we want home cleaning to be less than power cleaning. So now let's look at what home cleaning charges. They charge $3.12 a month, or $3.12 to wash the siding, plus $12 per window. We want that to be less expensive than the power clean, which is just paying $36 per window. So now we can go ahead and solve this. So we're going to go ahead and subtract 12w from both sides. So essentially we have to figure out how many windows need to be washed to make up the $312 from a total of $24 per window. So if we go ahead and divide both sides by 24, we get an answer of 13. So if there's more than 13 windows on a house, it would be beneficial to use the home cleaning company because you're paying the less per window. Now, like equations, there are special cases of inequalities called identities and contradictions. So let's look at an example of this. So here we have 2x on both sides of the equation, or the inequality. If I subtract 2x, then we have a situation where negative 7 is less than or equal to 5. Since this is true, this would be an example of an identity So this would mean that our answer would be all real numbers. So any number we would pick in this situation would make this inequality true. Okay, so let's just look at another example. We're going to go ahead and distribute first. So on the left side we have 6y minus 4, and then we have our other minus 4 is greater than or equal to 6y plus 21. If I combine my like terms, I have 6y minus 8 is greater than or equal to 6y plus 21. If I go ahead and take 6y away from both sides, now I have negative 8 is greater than or equal to 21. Since this is not true, this would mean there is no solution. No value that we use will make this inequality true. So now if we look, we're just reiterating, if it's an identity where the resulting inequality is true and all real numbers are solutions, it's a contradiction when the resulting inequality is a false statement, which means there are no solutions, and we can use that symbol, that circle with the slash through it. Why don't you go ahead and pause the video and try this one on your own. So here I'm going to subtract 4y from both sides. So I have negative 3y is less than or equal to 18. I'm going to divide each side by negative 3. Y and negative 6. I'm going to go ahead and flip that sign around so y is greater than or equal to negative 6. Close circle, and the arrow should go to the right. So once again, why don't you try this problem out on your own. Okay, first I'm going to subtract 2m from both sides. So I have 2m minus 3 is less than 6. Then add 3 to both sides. So now 2m is less than 9. Divide by 2. M is less than 9 halves. Because I'm going to just leave it as a fraction like that. So here I have an open circle at 9 halves. Our arrow is going to go to the left. So now let's look at another real life situation. A+ Advertising charges a fee $24 plus 10 cents per flyer. Print and More charges 25 cents per flyer. For how many flyers is the cost of A+ less than the cost of Print and More? So we have the A+, which is going to be your $24 plus 10 cents per flyer. Has to be less than or 25 cents per flyer. So here if I subtract my 10 cents from both sides, I have 24 is less than 15 cents F. So I'm going to divide both sides by 15 cents. So if I take 24 and I divide it by the 15 cents, I get that the number of flyers has to be greater than 160 for A+ to be cheaper. Alright, for this one last example, why don't you go ahead and pause the video and try it out on your own. So once again, I would go ahead and distribute on both sides. So we have 10 minus 5r. It's going to be greater than or equal to 3r minus 6. I'm going to go ahead and add 5r to both sides. Now I have 10 is greater than or equal to 8r minus 6. So I'm going to add 6. So 16 is greater than or equal to 8r. Since I'm multiplying, I'm going to go ahead and divide. So now I have 2 is greater than or equal to r. Now you need to graph it. It's going to be a closed circle. R has to be less than 2, so our arrows should go to the left.